Here we go. Good morning, Jason. I'm
Good
Jeannette.
morning.
This is my father-in-law, Morris, and the people you see on the screen are our special students with our CompU.Talk class, and we thank you for joining us this morning. We understand that you are the mayor of Alvin. Can you tell us how long you've been mayor?
Yes, ma'am. It's the mayor of Angleton, and I was elected in 2017 of May as mayor. Prior to that, I was on council for about 13 years, off and on over a 16, 17-year period. So I've been with the city for quite some time as a councilman and mayor.
Excellent, excellent. Can you tell us what your background is or what you were doing before you became involved in city politics?
Yes, ma'am. Prior to that, what sparked my interest in being a council member is I was with the volunteer fire department. Started with them when I was a freshman in high school, and to this date, I am still with them. I've actually have over 30 years as a volunteer fireman with the city of Angleton. My background is I'm a firefighter paramedic. I actually work for the refinery in Sweeney, Phillips 66. In the world of government, other than what I took in high school and college, just learned a lot and read a lot. That's where I kind of got my passion, I guess, for helping move our city in a direction that I think seems to be very positive.
Very good. So you said that you had a career then as a firefighter and EMT, or was that your volunteer work?
Actually volunteer as a firefighter, but as a paramedic, I worked full time. So that was actually my job as the assistant administrator of an EMS organization. And then currently now, I am basically a fire chief in the refinery, but use my skills as a firefighter paramedic.
Excellent. I was wondering if you had a job outside of being mayor of Angleton. I know with many small towns that is the case, where people have their paycheck job and their city responsibilities, and you just have to try to balance that with your family and your hobbies and your personal life. So,
oh yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Angleton. Now, I understand that Angleton has a city manager handling the day-to-day business of the city. Since you have a city manager, what responsibilities does the mayor have in your case?
So the mayor basically is the executive officer of the city. And so look at it as like a board of directors. So we're the board of directors over the organization. And so direction comes from the council, myself to the city manager. So kind of like that part of it is just more of the handshaker, the person who makes presentations, goes out and the kind of the face of the community. But then also there is a lot of things that we deal with. Sign checks, sign any orders, sign all the ordinances that are passed by council. We kind of set the vision and the tone for the city. But then also part of the job that I found out being the mayor, and I did it as council member as well, is a lot of people reach out to you when they have concerns. So they really want to speak to the mayor or a council member to hear their concerns or their issues. Hopefully that we can find the solution with staff to solve whatever their issue may be. So really the big thing of it is you're kind of like the executive officer. You don't get into the weeds of things. You let staff do that are specifically trained in that area. Like I'm not a public works kind of guy. I know what the pipes in the ground do, but when it comes to the nuts and bolts, that's what the public works director may do. The city manager, of course, he oversees all the staff that are there at City Hall with all the directors, and of course the directors oversee all the employees. And then the really big thing that's really come to light since I've been mayor over the last 5 to 6 months is we're in an emergency declaration order right now. I signed an order because of the COVID issue. And so when that does occur, when your city is in a emergency disaster mode, so to speak, the mayor can actually make decisions on behalf of the city without approval of the rest of council, because some things need to happen right then and there. And some of you may know when you have a council meeting, you have to post 3 days before a meeting. You have to post an agenda. That's what you can only talk about at a meeting. But in a time of emergency disaster, you sometimes don't have that time to wait 3 days to make a decision, whether it be spending money, whether that's sign a mask order, whether that's, go into an evacuation mode. So that's the only thing that the mayor really can do outside of council's approval is when we're in an emergency situation. My first year that I was elected in May of 2017, and then in August, we had the hurricane. And so I went right into hurricane mode. And the other thing that the mayor does is they are the top emergency management official for your city. Like we're seeing on TV, the county judges are for their counties, the mayors are for their cities. And once again, they make all the decisions right then there on the spot with staff to figure out what we're going to do. Do we evacuate? Do we do certain things? For flooding, do we deploy pumps? Those type of things. So it's pretty interesting occupation. That's a volunteer job, if I must say, but I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Now, you mentioned the emergency declaration that you've ordered. Can you tell us specifically what that is? Is that a mandate or?
No, ma'am. So the emergency declaration that I signed when the pandemic started was basically us for going to an emergency mode where I can make decisions on behalf of the city rather quickly. And then what that also does is that gets us on the list for any emergency funding that may come down from the state or from the national level. What it also does is helps us with resources. Let's just say hypothetically, the hospital had an issue where they couldn't staff. Well, because we're under a declaration, I can actually ask that up the chain from the county level to the state level to the national level if we would have need like staffing, like nurses or respiratory therapists. Because of the declaration, we fall under that order that the services or resources could have been sent to us immediately. And so that's kind of what a disaster declaration does. Now the mask order was something a little bit different. Of course, it's already expired on my side, but of course the governor has his mask order in place. But that was one of the things as well, based on kind of what we know, kind of the science, kind of from some of the research they were finding that, we thought maybe masks were very important at the time. And then of course the governor, 2 days after my mask order went into effect, he signed his mask order. And so his supersedes mine. The governor always supersedes your orders. You can always go with the governor. You can never go less than his order, but you can go stronger than his order. But we just kind of maintain exactly what he said, because he's got bigger advisors. He's got larger research people behind him that have a little bit more facts than maybe we may have at the city level.
Now, when you as a mayor declare one of these orders, does it have teeth? Are you allowed to fine people who do not respect the order, or?
Yes, ma'am. So let's stay away from the mask, but let's say there was a flooding going on in our city and people were driving down the streets and causing water to go into people's homes. We could have signed in a quick order that says anybody that drives through a flooded area that pushes water into a residence or business can be fined or can also be incarcerated. So yes, ma'am, depending on how you write the order will determine how much teeth it has. And then it's up to the local police department to enforce the order of the local government.
Excellent, excellent. So you do wield some power then as mayor. That's great. Are you responsible for preparing the budget for your city?
Yes, ma'am. So we, of course, have staff. We have a director of finance. And between her, city manager, and directors, and then the council, we develop the budget. And so right now we're actually in budget workshops. And so we've been meeting outside of council meetings on different days, which are published because we have to post those things. We create the budget. So we're going over line item by line item, department by department, and seeing what do we need? What are the wants? Kind of weed it out and then figure out what our budget will be. It takes about $55 million to run the city. So it's a big number that we're looking at. And then just whittling it down to, for instance, a line item in public works is office supplies. And, they tell us we're going to spend maybe $1,500 this year on office supplies. So we look at everything from pencils to pens to buying a new dump truck or buying a new tractor, those types of things. So, but staff does a lot of it, but we review it and we look over it, and then we will make the final say based on staff's presentation of what we're going to keep and what we have to throw out.
What a challenge, especially in these economic times where we don't know what our future looks like.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, what we're dealing with right now is our staff, how much each employee makes, in a nutshell. We did a market study, comprehensive a comprehensive study on our payroll for our staff, and we found out that we were way under market in a lot of areas. And of course, you always hear from the city staff, because a lot of them are personal friends of mine. You don't pay me enough. And so 2 years ago, we invested in a market study done by a national company. And they looked at 25, I believe, agency or cities comparable to our size, comparable to our market. And they told us we pay under, we're underpaid. And so what we did was last year, we instituted phase 1 of the plan. And that gave just about every employee a raise to bring them up to market value. And then this year, what we're trying to do is bring most of the employees up to mid-market value. So there's a low end, a minimum, a midpoint, and a high point. So we're trying to bring staff up to at least a midpoint, because that will help with retention. Maybe they won't look and go somewhere else. And that's our focus this year, is trying to fund that point. So we're really having to cut back on a lot of things. And the staff even said, we'll take the cut back on buying the tractor this year if my employees can get a raise. So that's our biggest challenge this year, is trying to fund that second phase of the 3-phase program. So yes, ma'am, it's really tough. You know, we all know our property values have went up, but we don't want to pass that on to the to the citizens, that raise. So we're actually looking at decreasing our tax rate here in the city of Angleton. And we've only been talking, but it looks like we may come down 2 cents for every $100 valuation, which
Wow.
has never really been done in Angleton in a very long time since I've been around, to go down 2 cents. Usually it's a half cent or a quarter cent. We're actually shooting to go down 2 cents to help relieve some of that burden off the residents. Because I'm a taxpayer, so I'm trying to help we're trying to help as many people as possible get that here in the city of Angleton.
Well, that is big news that you're hoping for a tax cut in these days of cities needing more money. What is the population of Angleton?
Well, when you come into the city, of course, the sign says around 18,000 and some change, and that was, of course, over 10 years ago. And so right now they're estimating that our population is 19,400 and some change. And we hope with the census, and they're projecting that we should be close to 21,000 this census go around. So it looks very promising. People are moving to Angleton, which is a good thing. And we're just excited about the population growth. And you know, maybe there'll be more to come. I do hear a lot of residents say that they don't want to be like a Pearland, or they don't want to be like a suburb of in the Fort Bend area. But there's so much available land around us. We just have to, it's going to come regardless. We just have to prepare for it and make the best of it. Now, when I tell people that say we don't want to be like Pearland, well, it took Pearland quite a few years to get to that 100,000 population. So we got a long ways to go, but we're excited. A little bit of population is always a good thing, because then that entices retail and other developers to look at our city when they see the growth, because then they see there's income here that needs to be spent. And so they probably want a piece of the pie. And so that's what they're looking at, is also our threshold of how many residents we have in the community.
Excellent. I understand there's some new subdivisions in the plans for Angleton right now.
Yes, ma'am. It's funny you say that, because yesterday we received an email from our city manager that had it was a development profile of basically what's in the pipe. And we actually have 4 subdivisions right now that are either in construction phase or about to start pushing dirt. And so that amount of subdivision homes is roughly around almost 1,000 homes.
Wow.
And then, yes, ma'am. And then we also have about 7 more developments that are in the works, that they're in various stages, but not quite ready to start turning some dirt. Some of them are still teeter-tottering if they're going to pull the trigger or not on their development, because it's quite expensive even to get started thinking about starting a development subdivision. But we have about 7 of those. So in the grand scheme of things, in a perfect world, if that was the true number of, 4 plus the 7, we're looking at almost, 4,000 to 5,000 homes coming to Angleton over the next few years.
Which
And so that's
population.
Yes, ma'am. So
doubling the tax base too. So that would be a great thing. Is there a new subdivision being planned next to the high school? One of our guests has said there was a field that was cleared.
Yes, ma'am. There is the subdivision. If you just give me just a second, I will be glad to pull that up and give you specifics on that particular subdivision. They are, let's see, they are clearing land, and they call it grubbing, and they're clearing the land out for a subdivision. I believe it's called Windrose Green. I'm pulling it up right now, and I can tell you how many acres it is and how many homes that they're looking at. So it is called Windrose Green. It is a company out of Houston. It is adjacent to the high school, and it is 154 acres and 675 lots is what they're planning on putting inside that subdivision. So they're expecting to start putting some sticks on the ground the beginning of next year, because it takes quite some time to build the roads, the infrastructure, the electrical, the sewer, the water. But we're looking at probably having some first homes on the ground over there, probably about April to May.
I see. Do you have any idea as to the potential cost of the homes that will be built there?
Let me see. I think I saw that number. The 225s on up. 225,000 on up. So it seems like it's an entry-level home. They are going to be on maybe some small lots, 45-foot front lots. What the research is telling us right now is people don't like big yards and they don't want a lot of upkeep on the outside. So that's kind of what they're going with. I do understand as that subdivision develops, they'll have some larger homes on the back side of that subdivision.
I see. I understand that a lot of companies are finding that their employees are enjoying working at home during this pandemic. And people are interested in leaving the big cities such as, well, New York, Chicago, and I'm going to throw Houston in there. What qualities does Angleton have that would attract people who are interested in leaving the big cities?
Well, one of the things that we like to tout is our traffic. You know, we don't have that huge traffic burden that a lot of the big cities have. But we do look at one of those things, quality of life. And so we have a small amount of variety of retail here, which I always wish we could have a little bit more. So I think it's coming once the population gets here. But one thing we look at is your schools and your park system. And those are the two things that usually attract people to a subdivision, up to a community, is their parks. And so one of the big things that we're so excited about, and you may not know, is we're building a brand new park. It's called Lakeside Park. It's about a 20-acre park that's going to have a huge water feature. And then the park amenities will be around the lake. It's roughly, we're shooting for about a $2.5 million park, which I didn't realize the park cost that much. But we are actually looking, we're moving and grooving on it. We should be going out for a bond to build that park in the next few meetings. We are in the design phase of it, trying to get the cost of the park. It's going to have everything to a boardwalk, a floating fish pier, a nature trail, a butterfly sanctuary, a small pavilion, and then a small camping area for maybe Boy Scouts to do overnight or Girl Scouts overnight camping. So it's really going to be a really, really neat facility out there. And so we're really excited about that park. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind. Oh, that's what we're excited about. We're even looking about maybe making a small beach. Having the one corner of the lake will have a beachfront. We'll have sand on it, so you can kind of sit there and, you know, we're not going to encourage swimming, but we're not going to yank people out there to say you can't swim in it. But so we're kind of excited about that. So that's one of the things that we're looking at is building up the park system. And we feel that we have some really great park facilities between our Freedom Park, which has our boys athletic baseball fields, and then we have Bates-Dickey Park for the girls. And so we're excited about that as well. And then just the maintenance of that. And then, of course, our school system. We like to say we have a pretty top-notch school system here in the city. And so we're excited to support anything that they do as well.
I understand you've got a great, is it girls softball team or something also?
Yes, ma'am. Our girls won the state championship last year. And so I guess if they don't get to do a state championship this year, they get to continue on for one more year until a new championship is done. And then I don't want to. The girls softball program is being slightly rewarded because they're building them a brand new softball facility that they had. Their facility that they've been playing on has been there since like the early '90s. And so when they built the new high school, the boys got a brand new baseball field. Of course, it was a brand new football stadium. So with their last bond, they decided to reward the program, and they are getting a brand new girls softball facility. And it's in construction right now. I drove by there just a couple of days ago. They knocked down the old one, and they're progressing with the new one. So we're excited to see what they. I've seen the design, and we'll just really see it materialize and see the structure on the ground.
Oh, that is great. Did you go to high school in Angleton?
Yes, ma'am. Born and raised here, and so I've been here all my life, and so I'm a true Angletonian, as they say.
Very good. Well, I know that you're really going to enjoy the new, I guess you'd call it sports facility then for the high school. That is,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
going to attract more families also because so many are interested in the sports program. Now, Jason, as mayor, what can the people of Angleton do to support you?
Well, I will honestly say this last 5 to 6 months have been very trying. I've talked to some other mayors in the county and around the state that I became friends with, and it's been really difficult as the mayor because of the decisions that we have to make these days, whether they're popular or unpopular. And it's been stressful on myself and my family because I've been for the wife. So she's my beat up, I had to, all I ask people too is to look at our vision, and support our vision as a community. When I also became mayor, our city did not have a mission statement, so to speak, and we did not have maybe some core values that we want to actually move our city forward. And so we had a strategic plan, like big business does, and came up with a core values, came up with a mission statement for our community. And that's what I lean to every day is when we make decisions, look at those core values and does it match? And I would just encourage the residents to, we're making decisions for our future and we hope they're in the best. It's always great to have disagreements. I truly accept those things and would love to talk to people, and that very well could sway maybe a council member or myself how we may choose to vote on something. But we just ask the residents, just be supportive. Please reach out if you have a concern. One of the big concerns right now is the branding of the city. But just look at kind of what our vision is. I feel that we have a very progressive council that is really looking for the next 10, 20, and 30 years of our community. It's ever changing. We see it changing. And we just ask the residents to be supportive, be patient. We've been building some new streets here recently. We got 2 more coming down. I know it's a disruption, but once the streets have been done, they're beautiful. And I thought I'd never say a street is beautiful, but let me tell you, we built 2 new streets in the city last year.
Get behind our mayor and offer a smile or a congratulations, good job or something. Those things can go a long way in reducing the stress that everyone is under right now, including our leaders. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today. I really look forward to seeing the new park in Angleton when it opens up. I'll be making the drive down there for that for sure. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm so grateful that you were able to join us this morning.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And please, if you're not a resident of Angleton, please drive on down from where you're at. See kind of what we have to offer. We do have some nice eateries, some good mom and pop eatery places. We have some entertainment. We have that golf complex. We have an axe throwing facility. We have the go-kart track outside the city. So there's all kinds of neat things to do and see here. Come to our downtown. I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. We are revitalizing our downtown with a livable center study, and that's what we're trying to do, is trying to see where do we want to see our downtown, whether it's business, whether it's residents, whether it's walkability, whether it's getting rid of the streets and having just nothing but walking around the downtown. So we're excited about that. That's another big thing that we jumped into, and hopefully I'm up for re-election in May. We'll see if I get reelected because I do want to see that project finish on through. So once again, thank y'all so much. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. I have a council meeting tonight, so I need to start getting ready for that.
Thank